what's up? It's Cinema Shogun here, and before anyone gets their undies up in a bunch, before anyone starts wigging out on me, let me go ahead and start by saying this. This video is not, in any way, shape, or form, an attack on Nancy Grace. This video is simply here because I want to have an adult conversation, an adult debate, if you will. I would like to hear from all sides, people who agree or disagree. And to be clear, I don't really have an opinion on Nancy Grace. I don't hate Nancy Grace. I don't like Nancy Grace. To me, she's just another mainstream media personality. I do not watch the mainstream media. I have not watched the mainstream media in years. I don't think I've ever tuned into a full Nancy Grace episode. I am aware of who she is. I've seen plenty of clips online. So I get that she's a real outspoken person, kind of like myself. So I definitely won't fault her for that. But I've come to realize that no matter who you are, if you're in this little corner of the internet, you probably have an opinion on Nancy. And it appears that the people of Idaho and Moscow and the little town where the Idaho 4 their lives were taken, it appears that they do not like Nancy Grace. Or I can't speak for everyone there. I'm sure she has some fans there and some people who don't like her. But when you get to the point that Nancy Grace is setting up a little studio outside of the house, the Idaho 4 house, and then the neighbors have an F you Nancy Grace sign literally right across the street, right there, it's like, oh, damn. And I've seen a lot of people from this community online absolutely going after Nancy. They are tearing into her. I have to watch my language, okay? YouTube has rolled out some new rules. I cannot say bad words. But let's just say they've been saying a lot of bad words. I can guarantee you most of the stuff that I've seen online from people criticizing Nancy Grace, it's all stuff that I can't read to you on YouTube. But Nancy made the interesting decision to get a folder chair, a little folding table, and set up like a little picnic area, like a lemonade stand, right outside of the Idaho 4 house. And this is where she did her show and she's doing her coverage. Now, this is where I'm torn on the situation. We've seen it for years. Reporters, when they're reporting on a story like this, they always stand in front of the house or they stand in front of the location where something went down at. So this isn't something necessarily new. Now, I have not seen someone set up a table in a makeshift studio right outside of a home, but I mean, it does not surprise me. But I think the conversation to be had here is this necessary? I would argue that it's probably not necessarily, but I don't necessarily have as big of an issue with it as opposed to a lot of other things that we see happen outside of homes during these type of cases. Nancy isn't out there, I don't believe, interfering with the investigation. I don't believe Nancy is out there necessarily attacking anyone. I don't see her sending hate mobs towards anyone's family and stuff like that. But there's also a conversation to be had here. What's really the big difference between what Nancy is doing and what a lot of these tragedy pimps do on YouTube? Like the bullhorn lady who goes and yells outside of people's houses. What's the difference between what she does and what Nancy does? Now, there are differences. Like I said, I don't see Nancy really sending hate mobs after people. I don't see her involving herself in an active investigation and things of that nature. But there's definitely a fine line there, you know? So I understand why people feel some type of way, but I also understand why people kind of are defending Nancy. So like, I'm stuck in the middle for once. Usually I'll come out here guns a-blazing, but I see both sides. But at the end of the day, does it really matter how I feel or how you feel or how they feel or they feel? What matters is how the people in the community feel. And from what I've seen, most of them are not happy about this at all. Nancy posted on Twitter last night, and here are some of the reactions. Like I said, most of which I cannot read on YouTube, but let's try to go through a few. Go home. Leave Moscow. Matter of fact, never come back to Idaho. Your and your team's presence adds zero value to our community. Go home. Keep up the good work, team. Disgusting. Beautiful crew. Leave. Awesome crew. Smiling for a pic in front of where a brutal unaliving happened? Classy. Go away. Vultures. It takes a team. Thanks everyone for keeping us informed. Let's make it a lesson to learn in honor of Idaho 4. Circus tent. Go home. So as you can see, she's getting a lot of mixed reactions. And I would say for every positive comment she got, she probably got 2 or 3 negative ones. So I would say that the general public is leaning more towards not being happy with Nancy being there. And then I look at the timing of it. I mean, it's totally unnecessary, let's be honest. But like, why now? Kohberger's been arrested. Preliminary hearing's not until June 26th. What does Nancy really plan on accomplishing out there? I don't think she will be accomplishing much other than just having an interesting background to her news segments. Now, like I said, reporters have been doing this for a long time. So I don't want to look at Nancy any differently. But my issue is with a lot of these people is when they pretend like something is happening that isn't happening. Like, hey, if you want to go do your news segment in front of the Idaho 4 house, go do it. But just let people know that you just want to be there. That maybe it makes you feel like your presentation is better. Don't lead people along into thinking that you're digging for clues. She acts like her and her team are out there conducting their own investigation and they're going to get down to the bottom of this and that. And don't lead these people on. It's the same thing these tragedy pimps do on YouTube. They act like they're getting to the bottom of this and that, when in reality, they don't even know what the hell they're doing. They're going to the wrong courthouses, wrong jailhouses, showing up at the wrong locations, attacking people. So when it comes to Nancy, I'd rather her just be honest, like, hey, I'm covering this case, so let's do a show outside of the home. I respect that. I'm a visual person. I understand that. But don't lead your audience on to thinking that, oh, me and my team, we're out here and we're going to get answers. What do you mean? It's a little late for that. Kohberger's already behind bars. Preliminary hearing is already set. The community seems like they're kind of wanting to go back to normal. Kids are going back to school. And there's a person right behind you with an F.U. Nancy Grace sign. So obviously he doesn't want you near his house. So, I mean, it's not needed. But at the same time, I'm not going to tear her apart for being there. I just wish that she would be a little more honest with her motives. But all in all, I mean, she's bringing more attention to the case. I think some would argue that we don't need any more attention on this case. We need more attention on other cases. And I agree with that as well. But I'm still I have mixed feelings when it comes to this one. And I gotta say that it was somewhat shocking seeing how the mainstream media covers these type of cases because, like I said, I haven't watched the mainstream media in years, and true crime isn't necessarily like my number one interest in life. You know, so I never really watched Nancy Grace. I never really paid much attention to how the mainstream media would handle a lot of these cases. And seeing how they handled this one, it blows my mind. It's like these people are just as bad as the people we complain about on YouTube. attacking people's parents, acting like this person's a suspect, pretending like certain information is real when everyone knows it's not. It's sickening. But I gotta say, as far as Nancy Grace goes, I don't hate the lady. I don't necessarily like the lady. I'm indifferent towards her. But I do respect her outspokenness, because I'm that type of person, and I respect people like that, even though sometimes they may be a little more crude or rude, or they say things that are a little harsh. I respect the genuineness. I think it's much better than people like that ex-FBI agent Jennifer Coffindaffer, who literally steals information from other people online, and then she goes to the tabloids and acts like she does all of this research into cases, when in reality she doesn't. She takes what people says, she takes what she sees people say on Twitter, Facebook, or what have you, and then she takes that information and she goes to TMZ, Fox News, and they pay her. Okay, that's what's happening. They're paying her, or they're giving her clout, giving her attention, and she's showing up with information that she gathers from us online and acts like she's an expert in these cases when she is not at all. I have tons of screenshots of her putting out false, fake information. In fact, she's the one that started the rumor that there was a second person arrested for the Idaho 4 case, and that Bryan Kohberger had a co-defendant. So, I mean, at the very least, I don't see Nancy doing stuff like that. So I think some people's energy should be directed more towards people who are literally stealing other people's information, and they're acting as if they have knowledge about these cases when they don't. They basically go online, they read a few tweets, they watch a couple of our videos, they take that info, and then they run to the mainstream media with it, all under the guise of, oh, I'm an ex-FBI agent and I know everything, when in reality, they don't know anything. But let me know your thoughts about this down in the comments below. Sorry, she had to catch some smoke real quick. Okay, sorry. But let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. While you're down there, hit the thumbs up button, hit that subscribe button, ring that notification bell, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.